Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. My name is Vaidehi Devi Dasi, and I was interrupted by a phone call because I've been waiting for news or updates from the hospital regarding picking up my mom, who just had a bypass surgery. And so I just got the call that she'll be staying one more night, and then tomorrow, looks like on Sri Radhastami, she'll be coming back to the temple. So that is the news for anybody that has been wondering about Kalindi. She is recovering very nicely, and the doctors have been really impressed with her recovery. The surgery went well. It went quickly, much faster than they anticipated, and no complications, and her recovery and healing is also happening very nicely. They just couldn't get the doctor to see her before she left, and that was her desire. So because he couldn't make it to her by the end of the day, he'll see her tomorrow, and then from there she'll be ready to come back, and we'll bring her back to the temple tomorrow. So that's very, very good news for anyone that's wondering, and for all of us. And so we'll have her back tomorrow. Yay, I see the thumbs up. So sorry for the interruption if you were on here live just a few minutes ago. That's why we had two little live streams. And so we'll begin again. So as I was saying, so I'm going to just start again. We've had a really interesting week since Srimati Sureshwari Didi's passing away on Friday, September 3rd. And we've been celebrating her passing away since then, pretty much nonstop. And her funeral was on the 9th of September, and that was also the date of my mom's surgery. We knew that date was coming for her surgery. We did not know that day would also be the day that we'd be honoring Sureshwari's funeral and her passing away. And so, you know, we had the funeral on the 9th of September, and that was the day of my mom's surgery. So as we were celebrating Sureshwari Didi's life, we were also in prayer for Kalindi Didi's life and smooth, successful surgery, which was granted, thank the Lord. And so it's been a very interesting kind of like paradoxical space to be in, especially for me. I mean, I'm sure everyone else can relate, but especially for me as the daughter of the person receiving surgery, and I'm sure for the daughter of Sureshwari Didi, because it's closer, right, to our hearts. And so, you know, over here, being in the cremation and being like, death, okay, Jai, and then over here towards the hospital being like, life, please bring life, and keep these two things separate. Keep the death over here and keep the life over here, please. It was really intense and kind of like living in two worlds at once. And woo, yeah, so today is, so Sureshwari Didi left just a few days after the new moon. My mom's surgery happened just a few days after the new moon. You know, Janmashtami just happened. This is a very like auspicious kind of 2 months. And today we are honoring Sri Lalita Saptami. And Sri Lalita Saptami is, you know, one of the principal gopis, who is, you know, Srimati Radharani's left hand, left hand if you're in the left-handed world. Shout out to all the lefties and Ramaya Prabhu. And tomorrow we celebrate Sri Radhastami. And so we will be celebrating that at 11 or 10:30 a.m. I always say 11 a.m. because, you know, things start around that time, but 10:30 a.m. at the Soquel Seva Ashram. So if you're local, please come. And if you are not local, please watch the live stream and participate that way. I said some of these things already in the first live stream, but the stream was interrupted, so I'm repeating them again for those of you that are just joining on. And yeah, so it's a very special time, very special month, and very auspicious celebrations and dates for beginning new things, new practices, spiritual life. you know, Kartik will begin soon, and it's a time to be in preparation. You know, it's Virgo season. So cleaning up your spiritual practice, cleaning up your physical space, cleaning up your mind, you know, your speech, you know, taking inventory of your life, and, you know, what are you grateful for, and what are you praying for in this time, and what, you know, how can you have more sadhu sangha and association, and how can you immerse yourself at this time in more transcendental sound vibration. So it's a very special time to be very present to life, to your relationships to others, to new beginnings, new projects. So really, you know, pay attention, stay awake during this time. I know that for all of us, Sureshwari Didi's passing was like a whoa, wake up call, and also a very sweet remembrance, or like very sweet, how do I say this? Like reminder of how precious our life is. And so I'm going to speak a little bit about that tonight. And right before the call, I was going to mention that I wanted to read from Pushta Krishna Prabhu's memorial service card that he gave to everyone, because we were remembering this quote by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. For some reason, I was saying Haridas Thakur because someone else said Haridas Thakur, but I knew it was Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So it's Bhaktivinoda Thakur who wrote this poem, and it's on his card along with 6 verses on surrender spoken by Srila Prabhupada. And I wanted to speak about this because A, it was super top of mind during Suresh's passing away and funeral, and B, because it was super top of mind during my mom's surgery, and C, because these 2 devotees that we're speaking about, Sureshwari Didi and Kalindi Didi, and of course Bimala and Divya Shakti, and these wonderful servitors that are nonstop Krishna Priya, Sharanangi, Sanatani, Braja Mohini, of course Vishaka, but more, you know, their age group. And we can think of so many others, right? Like Sri Leka, Lavanya, Saraswati, Sita, Bhakti Lalita, Sunanda, Jai Shri in Malaysia, you know, and I may be missing so many devotees that I'm maybe not familiar with, but, you know, these devotees are stalwarts. They've been here since Srila Prabhupada's time, and their mood of surrender and their mood of dedication is incomparable. And, you know, for me, the saddest thing is losing those figures that have been so much a part of my upbringing in Krishna consciousness. And it's very strange to not have their presence, mood, and example, but it makes their memories, you know, remembering them so much sweeter. And it also makes the honoring of the ones that are still here so much sweeter and more profound, if you're picking up what I'm laying down. And if you're not feeling that, then pick it up and and take that to heart, because, you know, they have been practicing for a whole lifespan. You know, you could say these devotees have now like 40, 50 years of practicing Krishna consciousness. And, you know, as adults, not as children. You know, you could say I have 34 years on practicing. But, you know, I was a little kid at some point, and maybe just hanging out. And so, you know, to stick with it and to be so dedicated and to be so surrendered and so focused. I mean, like Sureshwari Didi in her last days wanted to keep getting up to go to the kitchen because she felt the kitchen was her home and it was what was familiar to her. So her service position was familiar to her. Her service position was where her mind kept going. And we hear in the Bhagavad Gita that, you know, at the time of death, we go where our minds take us. And so where is Sureshwari's mind going, right? To her kitchen, to her place of service, to cooking for the deities, to cooking for the devotees. And, you know, such a strong will and desire to feed the Vaishnavs and to please the Vaishnavs in the form of prasadam, which is Krishna incarnate in the form of food. You know, what an opulent service. And I mean, I just ate one of her sandwiches from her Shraddha ceremony gift bag today. Like, I was hungry and was like super tired from, just getting everything ready for my mom and just like scrambling around and just being tired and barely even eating anything today. And then I like remembered Suresha's gift bag from her memorial, from her Shraddha ceremony. And I was like, what's in here? Oh my God, a little banana bread cupcake, right? Oh my God, this is a sandwich. Yes. Like, she's even saving me when I'm hungry after she's left. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, even after she's left, she's making sure that my mom and I are taken care of, because I had spoken to her in some of our last, I knew they were my last conversations with her. I actually knew it. And I had shared with her my heart and that I was scared about my mom's surgery. And even though she was in so much pain, and even though she was going through her own process and decline in health, which happened very quickly soon after that, she listened, right? And I mentioned this last week, and was attentive. And now, I spoke about this on Monday on the new moon, having not yet experienced her funeral. And now I'm coming back to you the following Monday, having experienced her funeral, my mom's surgery, her Shraddha ceremony, and also spending some time with her family, and literally watching how through her family members and through the devotees and through her funeral and through her celebration, her life celebration, she was still continuing to serve and nurture and hold space and take care of someone like me, right? And my mom. And so we see how the devotees really don't die. They don't die. They are still here with us. And, this goes to show, like, if just our beautiful devotees, who are, let's just generalize for a second, even though it's not a good idea because we don't know who's who and, we're no one to say. But let's just generalize, we're all practitioners. And, let's get super clear. Govinda Maharaj is a Paramahamsa, right? Okay, so Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Paramahamsa, not on the level of our practitioners or us, our group, right? If even our practitioners, we're just generalizing because we don't know who anyone is. We can't say, we can't measure. But this is a good example or point that I want to make. So if even they can be fully present and fully giving us shelter, as I've been personally experiencing to this day. I mean, today I'm continuing to experience this. What does that say about our Paramahamsas, who are even more evolved and elevated and transcendental? They're still with us. So any, fighting and BSing and things that we have going on that we wouldn't be doing with Gurudev's presence, like, what are we doing? Gurudev is present, right? And he's present in, well, first of all, he's present everywhere all the time, right? But he's especially present when we smaranam, right? When we remember him, when we kirtanam, when we speak his glories, when we shravanam, hear his glories, when we pujala, right? Pujana, when we worship his lotus feet, when we atmanivedana, when we do our full self-surrender, aspire to that, like, that attracts them even more and draws them in closer to our heart, to the point where we're no longer having questions as to whether they're here with us, right? We're no longer wondering if he can hear us, but we know that he can hear us. And so, I got to experience this connection with Sureshwari, knowing that she was here with me, knowing that she could hear me, literally, no doubt, and being able to hear her myself. And, we shared this with her daughters and granddaughters and so many devotees who felt her presence and could hear her, right? I'm not the only one. Okay, so like, we could all feel how present she still is. And so I just want to read this verse and then I want to go on. So, he reasons ill who tells that Vaishnav die when thou art living still in sound. The Vaishnavs die to live, and in living try to spread the holy name around. One of the things that Sureshwari Didi asked was for us to do a kirtan bonfire in her name. And we did a kirtan bonfire on a Saturday evening, not the night we usually do it, not the week we usually do it. We did it just for her in her presence. And I know everyone was tired, but not a lot of people came to that. But where was Sureshwari always plugging herself in? She was always plugging herself into transcendental sound vibration, into, you know, chanting of the holy name. Her hands would go up in the arti, you know, when we were chanted the Maha Mantra, and she requested that we held a special kirtan bonfire in her name. She wanted us to sing the holy name. On the day, I can feel like she's like, yes, this is what I want you to say. She wanted us to chant the holy name. She wants us to chant the holy name, to follow that example of becoming a nectarian devotee. And the day of her funeral, you know, we had a little bit of kirtan, and, you know, I would have loved to do so much more kirtan. I could have done so much more, and I knew she wanted that. And we did a little bit of kirtan, but that little bit was so powerful. You know, people told me I hadn't been able to cry until now, you know, or like I could feel her in this moment. That singing was so beautiful. Like, we got to experience something about what she was experiencing with that kirtan moment, right? Like how special that was for everybody there. So it's very evident that Sureshwari Didi was, you know, a propagator of Krishna in sound form and food form, right? Tongue, like Krishna for the tongue is what she was about, right? I mean, like her restaurant called The Butter Thief, right? Like, she's all about Krishna, and Krishna's dancing on the tongue, whether it's in the form of a prasadam or in the form of the chanting of the holy name. And that day, as we were ending the funeral, it was really sunny outside. And as we were closing with chanting, it literally started raining in the middle of the day, right? With sunshine. It was raining with sunshine, clearly a very auspicious sign, an auspicious, you know, what I saw was that it was like a yagya, a proper yagya, and the gods being pleased and, you know, showering us with rain in that moment, in that auspicious moment, to confirm the auspiciousness of the chanting of the holy name, to confirm the proper way of celebrating her is to chant the holy name in her honor. That is the proper way. Yes, the feasting as well, right? And especially the chanting of the holy name, especially the listening of transcendental sound vibration. Again, you know, he reasons ill who tells that Vaishnavs die when thou art living still in sound. They're alive in sound, and they're alive also, you know, how do I say this? They want the greatest good for all of us, right? These Vaishnavs that are passing, they want the highest and greatest good. And whatever auspiciousness they've received from the chanting of the holy name, whatever auspiciousness they've received from practicing spiritual life, whatever auspiciousness they've received from serving and surrendering themselves, whatever auspiciousness they've received from hearing transcendental sound vibration, they're experiencing the result of that in this moment of what is called death. They are, you know, what I'm imagining this, and I have a feeling that it's correct. They're recognizing even more how transcendental sound vibration and the service plane and the world of, you know, serving the Vaishnavs and full self-surrender, how much alive that is, and how tangible and present that is, and how much of a support that is, and how it's carrying them in this moment of death, right, of leaving the body, right? Gurudev has that video where he describes like the soul leaving the body and like wanting to go back in and being like, what is going on here, right? So in that moment of being disembodied and all this change and transition, that moment that we've all been dreading or waiting for or thinking about, or I mean, I think in Sureshwari's case, she was ready, which is why I say waiting for, because she was ready, right? And you know, like that moment, like from the minute we're born, that moment ticks closer to us, right? And so many are afraid of that moment. And so many have a different relationship with that moment. But whatever it is, that moment, death, okay? Death, like we're all going to face it. Frightening, terrifying, scary, right? Bewildering, confusing. That moment of death, in that moment, having something that feels most familiar on an innermost soul level becoming your new reality. And what is that? Transcendental sound vibration, the chanting of the holy name, full self-surrender, the service world, Guru Dev, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Parasevanam, Smaranam, all the things now become, you know, that's why we're training our entire life to be focused on that. To be serving not begrudgingly like I do in my case. Like I'm like exhausted and I'm like, I gotta go. Like that's kind of the level that I'm at. Like I'm like, I gotta go live. I gotta go do the deity service. Oh my God, I gotta go do this. I gotta go do that. That's just my mind, unfortunately, in this time, and hopefully I'll evolve into something nicer. But that's like the stage that I'm at, little seedling sprout, right? Like trying to do little like nice service, but like begrudgingly, right? Or whatever. Like, and then once it starts, I'm like, yay, some like happiness comes and some nourishment comes. But you know, that's where I'm at, right? We're all at different stages. And these servitors are like begging and like at the time of death wanting to run into the kitchen. At the time of like life-altering surgery are thinking about, like my mom, thinking about the garlands being covered in the Samadhi Mandir, like my service. Like, who does that? Nobody does that except for these devotees. So please take freaking notes. Like I'm also speaking to myself, like boom, like taking notes. Like we better be taking notes. Yeah, sure. They may be this and they may be that and they may have these moments and may have that moment, but whatever, take notes. And like, I love what Suresh said. Her daughter shared some things. What was it that she said? You know, always remember Krishna. I don't know what the second one was. If someone can remind me, type it in. Like, always remember Krishna, or chanting of the holy name, something. And then the third one was, and keep your mouth shut, right? Like, keep your mouth shut and like process your crap inside and like do, right? Doing the service. That reminds me a little of Acharya Maharaj's mood. And so, you know, like taking notes on their mood of dedication. You know, who does that? And so these devotees, while living in their physical forms, are 1000% surrendered to their service. And we're all like, oh, how cute, the little old lady temple beggar type. No, right? Most people like, oh, the little beggars of the temple, or like, oh, I have some position and here's the little temple, right? Like some people may see them like that, and some people may see them as like, wow, like these beautiful servitors, right? You get to choose how you want to view that role of servitude, right? Servitude to their lordships. Like I said, like Sureshwari Deity is part of the serving paraphernalia of the deities, right? She's part of the, you know, service of the temple. Like she's belongs to them. And same with, you know, my mom, same with Divya Shakti, same with all of these wonderful devotees that have and embody that very rare mood of service. Like Divya, right? Like coming to visit and still goes out for collection so that she can, you know, offer a donation, so that she can share the holy name with people, so that she can give people an opportunity for Sukriti. Like, who does that? Like in the meantime, like I'd rather be like chilling at the beach or whatever, you know, like there's just, you can't fake that. Like you cannot fake that. And that's very real. And that level of attraction is magnetizing. It's magnetic to Gurudev. Like that magnetizes Gurudev. That magnetizes the Vishnu Dutas and all the heavenly denizens of the spiritual world to come pick your beep up at the time of death, right? Like that's what's gonna be your salvation. And I'm not on like a, you know, some salvation tip, but I will say that just from witnessing everything that I've witnessed this week of nonstop partying in style for Sureshwari, because that's how she would want it and that's how she rolls, party, party, party. You know, that's what I'm recognizing. You know, like the scariest moment since we're born is death or something close to it, right? And, you know, she made death look so beautiful. Like I can genuinely say that I'm a little bit less afraid about death because of this funeral, because of her passing away. Like she took a little bit of that fear out of me. And of course, you know, like I pray that at my time I will have devotees around me and have the opportunity to be before the deities in the temple room with maha garlands and devotees reading the Bhagavad Gita. You know, like I pray for that. Like, whoa, that's what I want. That's the package that I want. Like I want the full package, you know, because the devotees made, you know, she and her mood of surrender and what that magnetizes, the affection of an entire community, that made death glorious. It made death seem beautiful, actually. I don't want to say this, but I'll just say like appealing. Not really, but you know what I mean? Like something that's generally so scary and we like don't want is, you know, became something so beautiful and so glorious and so auspicious. And I mean, if there's a way to go, that's the way. Or something like that, you know. And so, you know, she's an example of fearlessness, I would say. Like whatever she embodied, like I'm catching the waves of that, the shadow of that in my subconscious. And I feel like whatever fruits, whatever glory, whatever result, whatever blessing she has experienced as a result of her nonstop dedicated service, I feel like she is straight up distributing it to all of us. She's giving us all a little bit of that in her little gift bags in the air. It's in the air, it's in the gift bag, it's in the banana bread, it's in the flour, it's in the white cloth, like the memory of like anything that brings like up her remembrance. It's like, again, I always use this example, like the Mario Nintendo, right? You go ding on the bricks and then the coins fall. Anytime you can like bing, hit your brain and like remember her or like remember her glories, ding, there's like showers of blessings coming upon us. So that's why we remember the Vaishnavs, you guys. That's why we honor the Vaishnavs, because whenever we remember them, they're so merciful that whatever blessings they have, like they're sitting there with a basket holding their blessings because, you know, that's their deity, right? Like this is their power, this is their gift, this is what they're made of, this is their consistency. They're made of mercy and blessings, like kalpataru, like wish fulfilling tree. Like what is that about? Yeah, they are full of blessings and, you know, chit consciousness from Sri Gurudev, Sri Guru and Gauranga. They're illuminated with divine blessings and transcendental, you know, they have become agents of distribution of that higher plane, and they are full of that, even though they may feel bereft of it, because they know how grand it is that they know that they're bereft of it no matter how much they have. And anyone who remembers them, they're throwing those akash pushpas, those like flowers, they're throwing those blessings upon us. And this is why we honor the Vaishnavs. This is why the Vaishnavs are kalpataru, because they are mercy, concentrated mercy forms. And whenever we think of them and worship them and serve them and glorify them and speak of them, sound, you know, they are alive, still in sound, right? The Vaishnavs die to live, and in living, so they're alive. They're alive whether they're dead, and they're alive whether they're alive. Okay, we'll just like my little interpretation of that. Even if they die, they're still alive. And if they're alive, they're alive. So no matter what, the Vaishnavs, when they're alive, and they're always alive because they never die, they're spreading the holy name around. And so the more that we can remember them, the more we get the opportunity to receive those blessings. So it's such an important time to just be remembering these auspicious qualities and personalities and pastimes and glorifying them. And like Sureshri Didi would do, always playing transcendental sound vibration in her room, in the kitchen, on her iPad, from her mouth, like her own speaker, her computer speakers, her kitchen speakers, her room speakers, everywhere she went, to everyone she spoke to. And we got to hear so many stories that validate that. You know, and it's really interesting because, like, I was always so beautifully surprised by what my mom would say. She would say about me, and like the attraction that she had for preaching and for sharing the holy name. I didn't quite know that because I always was like, oh, she's always in the kitchen, not necessarily at all the preaching, like the kirtan, whatever events, but she was. But I just always had her there in my mind. And after all of this, I realized, oh my gosh, she is like a grand Sankirtaniya, because she's distributing Krishna in the food form and has an obsession with transcendental sound vibration that she didn't go about gloating about. Like, she just lived it and embodied it. She wasn't showing off that she's like some kirtan person or anything. She just embodied it. And on top of that, encouraged me. And her encouragement meant so much to me in times when I felt like, you know, nobody cares, or here I am alone singing. Like, she'd be in the kitchen and I was like thinking always like, oh, I wish someone was doing kirtan with me. And little did I know that she was in the kitchen right there with me, you know, our very own Kirtaniya in the kitchen. So anyway, you know, Kalpataru, these wish-fulfilling trees distributing transcendental sound vibration, and Krishna in the form of food, like Sureshri Didi Ki Jai. You know, and now we have our beautiful Kalindi, who's always distributing prasadam. That's why her and Sureshri were such a great pair. Sureshri would do all the cooking, Kalindi would do all the distributing and welcoming, and also loves chanting and singing, and this affinity for transcendental sound vibration and speaking about Krishna and hearing about Krishna and glorifying the devotees and glorifying every single soul that sets foot on this land, welcoming our guests, making them feel welcomed. You know, I've heard people say, like, I've never been welcomed this way in my life, right? To the way that the devotees welcome them to come onto this temple, into this land. So, you know, how can we look at the mood of these devotees and take them seriously for once, right? Take them seriously and pray to them for blessings and have some opportunity to serve them and to connect with them and spend time with them, because they are the pillars of our mission, our Sankirtan movement, and these particular ladies that I keep mentioning, yes, these specific ladies that I keep mentioning, are embodiments of Srila Gurudev's mood. They are embodiments of Srila Gurudev's mood, like nobody else. Like nobody else. Like nobody else. The sannyasis are also wonderful, but I will say like nobody else. Pick up what I'm laying down, like nobody else. And so they are so merciful and give us so much shelter and nurturing. So, you know, that's kind of what I've been thinking about, and I wanted to share that here. Like, wow, how can I pay attention and like check my own exhaustion and check my own bad mood, or check my own, you know, just like bleh, like feeling tired, you know. If they can do it, I can do it. And it doesn't mean I'm gonna like change overnight, but it's a seed has been planted, right? Like, okay, like they are the embodiments, and how can I step into that? How can I take notes, at least take notes, and then maybe later I can practice and become something like this, right? But it's, you know, it's not even about us becoming like them, but it's about us tasting just a little bit of what they have, enough to have our own, connection. And what they want is for all of us to feel that connection and that welcome and that joy and that attraction that they do. They have this unprecedented, incomparable, unparalleled attraction, devotion, and dedication to this really unique embodiment of serving, of mercy, of blessing, of abundance, of distribution. And to me, like, those words that I just said, those are like some key words for me, like some key kind of, they say red flags. These are kind of like some things that I really pay attention to. And it's those devotees that have that mood of abundance, that mood of distribution, those nectarian devotees. Like, this is so great. I'm so glad my mom told me about that story and conversation she had with Sureshri about becoming a nectarian devotee. Like, that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking to associate with, and that's what we're looking to become. And, if we can walk and talk at the same time, that's great, How can we align our actions with those beautiful examples, our thoughts, our speech, our mind, our remembrance, our everything with those beautiful examples? I don't know the answer to these questions, but I have a feeling that somehow taking notes and remembering them and speaking about them and doing our best to see everybody around us in that way also doesn't mean we're not going to see the bad stuff, because, those are really there. But to also make sure that we're taking notes and focusing on the good things, because, this life is so short. And, how about we start relishing the transcendental qualities of the devotees now, while they're still here in this moment? How about we have these realizations and experiences now, while they're still here in this moment? I mean, of course, they're always here, but physically present, where we can actually ask them questions and receive answers in the physical place, and really somehow, hopefully, evolve in the direction of, their footsteps, to be honest. And so in the direction of their footsteps, as we're approaching Radhastami, as we're in Sri Lalita Saptami. So, this concept of following in their footsteps, these beautiful servitors who are still with us and leaving. They're starting to leave. So let's do our best to relate to them and connect with them and remember them. So before we close, I don't even know what time it is. Let me see. I can't necessarily see. Let me see the time. Yeah, okay. I wanted to finish reading these 6 verses on surrender from Pushta Krishna Prabhu's memorial card. We've been kind of reading this throughout the class, or throughout tonight's conversation. And these 6 verses on surrender, I just want to read them because I think they're such a beautiful practice. So this was spoken by Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada for Pushta Krishna Das, it says here, in 1971. Number 1. Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very kind upon all living entities. Number 2. He descended upon this planet along with his confidential associates. Number 3. He has come to this earth just to bestow upon the human society the most valuable love of Krishna. Number 4. He is teaching everyone how to surrender unto the Supreme Lord. Number 5. Surrendering to Krishna means, Roman numeral 1, to become very meek and humble. 2, to decide one's life is for this service. 3, to become one of the members of a spiritual family. 4, to have firm faith that Krishna will protect him. 5, to accept those things favorable for devotional service. 6, to reject those things unfavorable for Krishna's devotional service. And number 6, anyone who has developed these 6 kinds of surrendering processes certainly will be recognized by Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna will give attention to the prayers of such pure devotees. Everyone should follow the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis, headed by Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatan Goswami, and the disciplic succession after the example of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the descendants of the Brahma Sampradaya. Everyone should pray to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with all humility, so that he may be kind enough to teach us this science of surrender, so that one becomes liberated in this life. Jai. So beautiful. And as I'm reading these 6 Roman numerals, to become meek and humble, to decide one's life is for this service, to become one of the members of a spiritual, I'm just thinking of Sureshwari Didi, check, 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 check. And what she said about becoming a nectarian devotee, I think she would say become these 6 things right here. Become meek and humble, decide one's life is for this service, become one of the members of a spiritual family, have firm faith that Krishna will protect you, accept those things, favorable for devotional service, reject those things unfavorable for Krishna's devotional service. So if we can remember these things and remember our examples, Sri Sureshwari Didi, Kalindi Didi, all the servitors, of course our acharyas that are still with us, we can remember them, remember these things, and continue in our practicing life. And Abhaya Charanara Vindare, right? Abhaya Charanara Vindare, grasping the lotus feet, the moon-like lotus feet of the Lord, destroys all fear. And Sureshwari Didi did that with her service. I mean, do you know how many stories? She had heart attack, stroke, cancer, drove off a mountain, broke her neck. She had so many, and she continued with this fearlessness, this fearless, uninterrupted service to the deities and to her family and to the community nonstop. Even as she's gone physically, she's still serving. Who does that? Not no joke. So we have some note-taking to do and quite a bit of homework. So what we can do is we can associate with each other in a nectarian way. We can become nectarian to each other. We can make sure that every day we are bathing our mind with transcendental sound, and that we are cleansing our mouth by speaking talks of Krishna, and that we can continue to move in that direction of becoming nectarian devotees. That is our aspiration. Moving forward, let's just set that intention right here, right now, together on Sri Lalita Saptami. This is a very powerful day to set spiritual intentions, to set spiritual prayers, and to begin spiritual practices, to recommit to your practicing life. So if you've maybe been falling off a little bit, maybe japa hasn't been chanted, or maybe you miss singing and chanting and you haven't been doing so, or you haven't been reading in a while, pick up your Bhagavad Gita or pick up your book. Make it a part of your daily routine when you first wake up or are about to go to bed. Read a little something, sing a song, chant your japa, speak with someone about Krishna, and set a new intention for your spiritual practice on this special day. Ask for those blessings of, consistency, steadfastness, dedication, practice, all of the things that come to your heart. Today is a very great day to be in prayer for these things. We are allowed to pray for spiritual qualities. We're allowed to pray for spiritual blessings. We're allowed to pray for spiritual realization in the mood of service, in the mood of evolving, so that we can become better servitors. Because don't we want to become nectarian devotees? We want to become embodiments. We want to become little walking Krishna talkers, right? We want to speak the glories of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Sri Sri Guru Gauranga. So this is, let us become meek and humble with this realization that we are so small, that death can be upon us at any moment, and that, compared to our Guru Varga, we are so meek and humble. How can we be in that position of attracting their blessings rather than being so full with our own plan and program, right? Like Gurudev would say, our own plan and program, right? And let's decide that this life is for the service of sharing the holy name, right? Spreading the holy name around. Let's commit to making this our life from this moment onwards, and let us become one of the members of our spiritual family. So wherever you are in the world, own that, claim that. I am a member of the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. I am a member of a transcendental spiritual family on this planet and in the spiritual world. In this past, present, future, I am a member of this spiritual family. Claim that, own that, remember that, recognize that, establish that, own it. And have firm faith that Krishna will protect you. Know that, right? Sureshwari Didi had so much faith that Krishna would protect her. She was ready for death. She wasn't scared. She was I'm ready. Let's go. She had the firm faith in Krishna's protection. That kind of fearlessness, walking into the jaws of death, let's roll. I got my Gurudev with me. I got my friends. I'm going to go see my friends. And, accept those things that are favorable for devotional service. I grew up with Gurudev as kind of my father / grandfather, right, figure. And my mom trained me. Whenever we would make moves, we would call him and ask him for permission. Not any move, every 5 seconds we're calling him. But when we were making big life choices, we would call him and ask him for those blessings and guidance. And so make those moves in your life that are favorable to your devotional service, living closer to a temple or going to a spiritual event instead of some other event. And if you need to go to the other event afterwards, go there afterwards, but choose and prioritize what's most favorable for your spiritual life. Have that be your guiding path, and then you won't fall off and trip and get back and, get on the floor, right? When you choose in the direction of your spiritual life and what's favorable for your service, you will always win. So that's a little trick, a key to your success in both your material and your spiritual life, is to, after you have decided that this life is for this service, okay, first you got to decide that, then making sure that the way you navigate is by choosing and selecting and making moves that are in support of and favorable to your spiritual life, to your practicing life, to where you can thrive spiritually. And what does it mean to thrive spiritually? To have transcendental sound vibration in your ear and out your mouth. Boom, that simple. Where talks of Krishna are inspired and service to Krishna is inspired and encouraged, and there's environment for that, and that home comfort that Gurudev embodied and made sure every single temple of his is providing to people all over the world, right? In his song, Sangopange Gouda Dhame Nitya Parakasha, is that line? Ashrama Bahu Jagatamaja. He is establishing these temples all over the world so that people can sing and chant and glorify the transcendental sound form of the Lord, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, you know, make those moves that lead you in the direction of supporting your spiritual life and practice, and reject those things unfavorable for Krishna's devotional service. Those things that are not favorable, put them on the wait and see list. And what's the rest of that sentence? You know, it's wait and see. We all know wait and see. And sometimes it kind of bugs me when people are like, wait and see. I'm like, please, I don't want to hear your parrot understanding of what that means. It's like, wait and see. If it's auspicious, do it today. If it's not, wait and see. So those things that are not directly favorable for your spiritual evolution, put them on the wait and see line. They can wait a little bit. So they, let time shake them out and have them reveal their true colors. Then make a move. Is it favorable? Then it's safe. Like, honestly, though, you got to be kind of ninja. Like, the darkness is like trying to seep into every corner, and you got to be a little bit ninja and let time do some work for you. If you don't know about a decision, then let time shake them up and show you the true colors of whatever that situation or circumstance is. And the favorability to your spiritual life will determine its whether it's qualified or not as a choice. So use the tools that Gurudev and our Guru Varga is giving us to make moves in this world and in the spiritual world, right? Until there's an alignment and you're no longer living a double life, but you're embodied and living a spiritual life dedicated to service, and all your moves are focused on that one thing. And that's how Sureshwari Didi lived. That's how Kalindi Didi continues to live. And that is how so many of our beautiful servitors and examples that we have in our temples are living. And we need to be taking notes and hanging out with them and learning and asking questions and speaking and singing and hearing and remembering and serving and full self-surrendering to the best of our ability. Even if we got $5 and someone else has $10, they may have $100. But if you have $5, then do what you can with those $5. We're not comparing to who's like the most surrendered and who's neglecting their body the most. No, that's not what we're talking about. It's the mood with which we are interacting and serving and how we are showing up. And I don't really think I'm super qualified to describe exactly what that is, but because I've just been watching and observing a little bit, I got some notes, and there's something about their unshakable, magnetic attraction to their service that's a key for us to pay attention to, for us beginners, little sproutlings. So I'll speak for myself. And if you resonate, you can hop on board this little wagon, right? Yeah, I think that is all I wanted to say. I hope this conversation is somehow inspiring or helpful or nurturing or eye-opening in some way or another. And I am grateful to be able to share something here tonight. And I am going to ask that you please continue praying for Srimati Kalindi Didi's recovery. Now we're in recovery mode. The surgery went successful, and now we are praying for successful recovery, that all her organs and lungs and mental capacity and the healing of the wound, that everything will be successful and complete and glorious, so that she can continue teaching us and sharing with us and just showering us with her transcendental affection. And if you get to speaking with her, she is such a little pundit. No one knows this because she's very humble and meek and has decided that this is her life service and is only accepting things that are favorable and rejecting the unfavorable. Like, her life is these things that we just read. I'm talking about Kalindi. Yes, I'm talking about my mom. Yes, I am. Yes. And she is one of the members of the spiritual family and has firm faith that Krishna will protect her. Yes, she embodies these things. Okay, I don't care who I am. Like, it's obvious, right? She's still with us. Let's take notes and connect with her. And again, the other devotees also in our mission who are such beautiful examples. I forgot to mention Jivana Didi, right? So many beautiful devotees. Let's hang out with them and learn from them. But anyway, specifically speaking about my mom, please asking for your blessings that she will, so that she can continue being here with us and showering us all with her love and affection and blessings, and her beautiful mood of service that is unparalleled. I would say, you know, she is one of the pillars of this temple, just as Sureshwari Didi has been. And so they were really great friends. They are really great friends. And we still have, you know, some of these great friends here with us. So please praying that everyone sends more blessings, because you are all the wealth also that Gurudev has given to. We are all each other's wealth from Gurudev. And when we can come to see and realize that we are all each other's wealth, then we'll begin to see each other differently. Then we'll begin to understand what spiritual community and spiritual family is. But first we have to recognize what wealth is, and then we have to recognize that we are all each other's wealth, and then move forward from there, because this is our wealth. I felt so wealthy and abundant this weekend, hearing about Krishna, chanting, remembering Sureshwari, seeing her beautiful family, seeing her in all of them, in Adi, in Bobby, in Kenny, in, who am I missing of her children? I feel like I'm missing, is it just them? There's so many kids and so many grandchildren. I was like, who's kids? And why are they 5 feet taller than last time I saw them? And this one was a baby, and now it's the size of the one that I saw last. Like, they were all so beautiful. So, yes, so much wealth, so much abundance. Sureshwari Didi is abundance personified, and she's left so much abundance for us. And, you know, we could continue feasting on the wealth she's left us for probably several more years. So I have many of her books. I got to pick some of them out, and I didn't put them in here yet because I don't know where to put them, but I have so many of her books, and I'm going to be reading. Because of her, I'm stocked up on some books that I didn't have. And, you know, we all have that opportunity to connect in that way. So anyway, thank you for hearing, for listening, and for inspiring me to take a moment to let these thoughts out and flow through. This is how we row the boat in Krishna consciousness. Shravanam Kirtanam, Shravanam Kirtanam. I just want to see who's here before we log off. So we have Taze, Dandavat, Tarmoy Didi, I believe, Wayne. Oh, Dandavat pranams to Wayne. We have Rasangi here. We have Daruka Das, Dandavat pranams. We have Ilya, Raghu one, Rajbu one Yadav. I forget your spiritual name, Prabhu, and please forgive me. But Dandavat pranams, Hare Krishna. And we have Priya Ram, Ilya is back. And we have Divya Shakti. Divya Shakti sending hearts. Dharani Dharendra is watching. And Madhu Gopal, Dandavat pranams. And we have Jagadananda Das. And we have a message here from Dharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the blessed intimate servants of the divine lineage of Sri Man Mahaprabhu Gauranga. I'm trying to click on the rest of the message so I can read it. It's not letting me expand it. I'm so sorry. I want to read your full message, but it won't let me. Well, I will surely read it afterwards. I can't wait to see what you wrote. And then you also said, I really know nothing about her at all, and I'm so thankful to hear some nectar from your heart. Jai! Dandavat pranams. I know how you feel. I felt that way too, hearing about what all the other devotees had to say, and even some of the things my mom shared. All these things that I heard helped me to properly see, right? Chakshurun militam jana. Like the soothing salve of these talks from the devotees are like eye-opening, right? They're heart awakening. They're awakening us to the transcendental qualities. So that's why it's so important to have that association of nectarian devotees who can help us to see those transcendental qualities that we may not be able to see because we're seeing maybe little old lady in the kitchen or this, you know, whatever. And so it's so important to hear so that we can understand what we're seeing. And there are so many people who saw Mahaprabhu and didn't recognize who he was. Can you believe that? Right? Jesus, another example. So, by hearing, we wake up to what is before us. By hearing, we begin to learn what is wealth, and we then are qualified, or at least able to recognize wealth, right? So it's by hearing that we get to have these realizations and awakenings, and that we get to see. By hearing from the hearts, it's a heart transmission, it's a heart transaction. How will we know otherwise, right? So beautiful that you wrote that and said that. And I'm glad that I could be in service in some way to share about her beautiful glories. And we have Nandarani watching. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Jai, Dandavat, Dharani, Darindra. And Madhu Mangal Das, Dandavat, Madhu Mangal, Prabhu, woo, woo! Media team, Ki Jai. And Heart Within and God Overhead. Beautiful. And you said right here, Dharani, I think that is the deepest talk I have heard so far. That really gives hope, and inspiration to want to be a member of it won't let me expand. Of a divine family, and to feel that it's a reality. I am so happy that you feel that, and it is real and it is true. And it doesn't mean that it's easy, right? It doesn't mean that there isn't material stuff that comes up all day, every day, right? But we get to choose what we tune into. And then we get to start to understand who are those nectarian devotees that keep us afloat and inspired, so that when the Maya gets thick, like when it gets heavy, we don't become so heavy that we fall off too and bite into the poison and get off track. So yes, it is a reality, and it is available, and it is here, and it's about how we approach, how we enter, the mood with which we come. And if we haven't received entrance before, or if we haven't felt entrance before, or if we haven't felt that home comfort before, then how can we just kind of make some few adjustments to shift our perspective, so that we can kind of erode maybe some of the rust and be like, oh, here's my magnetic connection. But we have to establish what that magnetic connection is for us, because we each have our own unique magnetic connection to the spiritual family and to the service of their lordships. And so we have to establish that. And a good way to establish that is to first come and to serve and to connect and to hear and ask questions in that meek and humble, not false meek and humble, right? But in that I want to know more about your heart. I want to know more about who you are. I want to know more about your favorite story about Krishna. When we can relate in a nectarian way about nectarian things, that's where the juice is. That's how we connect. And so we have to do our part to steer the conversations and the interactions and the daily activities and daily processes in that direction. Otherwise, it can be easy to get trapped in the physical materialistic plane. Of course, everything is transcendental, but we have to have kind of the goggles to see that. And so the way we buy those goggles is by first receiving entrance into the heart space of the devotees. And that heart space is those goggles. And so they give us the vision, right? That heart vision. They give us that heart vision through the mouth, through the hearing, through the smaranam, shravanam, kirtanam, parasevanam, and it all kind of activates and builds upon each other. It's like a whole system. And if we work that system, right, we just practice by due diligence. That's why the consistency in the service, it's not just like a trick to get us all to wash the pots, right? Like the consistency in the service, being consistent with it is what makes the diamond in the rough, right? Is what does the tumbling and the erosion of the rust and gives us the proper vision and perspective. And it takes time. It takes time, and it takes a real practice. Look, here's the real thing. There is crap. There is crap that's happening, and that is there, and that it's the illusory plane. We're interfacing with that illusory plane. We're in it. We are under illusion, right? It's not going to be just like peaches and cream. There is illusion and difficulty and challenge, but we have to get super firm inside. And that's why I said, this is so awesome. Oh my God, I just want to make a shirt. To decide one's life is for this service. We have to make that decision that we're going to do it, we have to make that decision, and we have to be really practical and be like, yes, this is a world of illusion. I'm going to be covered by waves, and things are going to get hard, and things are going to be annoying, and people are going to be annoying, and I'm going to like, ew, you know, like it's not easy, but we get to make that effort. Imagine if like the diamond in the rough that's being tumbled had the option to like bounce every time it got difficult. It would never become a diamond because of its own free will. It could be like, just kidding, I don't want to be tumbled. I'm going to stay like all crusty and like black instead of becoming a shiny, resplendent diamond. And so when things get hard, like it's on us to revolutionize it. It's on us to make the shift. It's on us to see the real meaning, the real message. It's on us to be like Gurudev. Like Gurudev's such a boss. He sees the external, but he's like, actually tuning into the thing inside. And so we have to be like that. We have to really try to be that way so that when the stuff comes up, like on the daily, we start to practice actually seeing what is behind that. And they say Krishna's behind all of it. It's not a justification for like, you know, receiving abuse or ill treatment or anything like that. But there's always some sort of Krishna nugget in everything that comes, including the difficulties and the dramas and the annoying things that happen. And, you know, it's up to us to discover what those lessons and blessings are and to chew on them. We have to do that. We have to make that decision and that commitment to be realistic and practical, that there's always going to be, you know, suffering and crap coming up, BS, illusion, you know, all the material stuff is right there too, but so is all the spiritual stuff. And so we have to be so practical to recognize that and learn how to become. This is why we have these analogies of the chatak bird who's only, you know, drinking from the rain that comes straight from the cloud, right? The swan who can extract the nectar from the soily water, right? We have to learn how to do that in order to survive and thrive. And it doesn't mean we are going to be perfect at it every day. And it doesn't mean that we're going to have to do it alone every day. That's why we, you know, the more we can take the identity of being a part of a spiritual family and having those nectarian devotees on our favorite call list on our phone that we can call up when we have some questions, right? And if you don't have that, become your own best friend, your own nectarian devotee with yourself, and read the books and chew on those questions, and the answers will come. That's the coolest thing about, what did we read tonight, you guys? That when the Vaishnavs are still living in sound, so this means that if you, what is the whole point of yoga and meditation, right? Like, we get to meditate and find those answers. And Gurudev does deliver. He does come through. He's so mystical. He's so mystical. And if you don't know this, is because you haven't knocked on his door. Try to see what happens when you knock on his door and ask him a question. Watch how he shows up in a dream. Watch how he shows up through another devotee. Watch how he shows up through a normal random person, or a message, or a note, or something on the radio, or your phone dials the devotee's number and you didn't even try. Like, watch. Go knock on his door and see what happens, right? Like, there's no reason why we should be lost and confused. And if you're lost and confused, well, there's no reason, right? And when we do get lost and confused, we have the opportunities to turn that confusion and that feeling lost into opportunities for redirecting and course correcting our path. And that's what the confusion is there for in the first place. It's to help us course correct. When you feel sad, bewildered, depressed, lost, confused, these are actually a good kind of sign if you know how to flip it and alchemize it. You got to be an alchemist, right? We got to learn how to see those, like Queen Kunti's praying for calamities. Like, who does that? Because Krishna's nearby, because she has so much faith in Lord Krishna that she knows anytime a calamity goes down, Krishna's about to roll up, pull up. And so we have to be able to recognize that those confusing, dark night of the soul moments are those places that are opportunities for us to actually practice taking shelter, right? Like when a big, it's Sorry, Snoop Dogg just came through. Okay, when a big wave comes crashing, like, you don't just stand there and like be lost and bewildered. If you know what's up, you dive your head, you dive underneath, and you let the wave go over you, and you get the smooth part, and you don't get the crashing and the tumbling and all the craziness. And so when those waves of confusion and fear and bewilderment and depression come, and they will come all day, every day, then we gotta drop it like it's hot. Okay, like we have to like bow our head. We have to drop down. Okay, we have to drop our head down and take shelter. We have to bow down and pray and ask for those answers. And like, I mean, take notes. I'm taking notes, right? Like, we have to do that. And that's how we come out the other side. That's how we, you know, don't get tumbled so hard. And so all these things have, you know, whatever I'm saying, I don't even know what I'm saying, but like, it somehow makes sense because I've been observing how these amazing stalwart, like A-game, A-star devotees act and represent. And sometimes I get annoyed. I'm like, please don't preach to me right now. But like, what they're saying is legit. And so anyway, anything that I've shared, you know, is I'm communicating it in my style and in my way, but these are things that I've learned from observing, from hearing, from listening, from meditating, from practicing, from trying, from crying, from praying, from all the things. And so, you know, you have that too. We all have that. But first we have to decide that we are committing our life to this, and then we have to, I don't even remember it. Then we have to become one of the members of the spiritual family. Don't feel like a lost black sheep out there. There's room for everyone, especially the black creative sheep. We need y'all on the battlefield, so come back. And you know, like, we need everyone to consider themselves a part of their, you know, a part of our spiritual family. And our spiritual family is big and strong. We're quite the force, but not when we're divided. And Maya, divide and conquer, right? The dark, we can't let the dark divide and conquer us. We, as SES Mott, worldwide, need to stop bickering and fighting and tripping out and feeling confused about things. And like, remember that the real thing is death and birth and the holy name and the holy lotus feet of Sri Krishna. And we gotta focus on that. Everything else can fall off to the side and be recycled and repurposed into something better. And so we got to learn how to alchemize, fertilize, and, you know, rework that stool into some fertilizer and all that stuff that's coming up. We got to rework it, reuse it, and plant something new from that. So forget the past that sleeps, ne'er the future, dream it all, but act in times that are with thee, and progress thee shall call. I always got to do a shout out to that quote. And have firm faith that Krishna will protect you. But remember, we gotta like drop down when the wave comes. We gotta learn how to, like, you know, in the army, you do so much training, or even in acrobatic training, you do it so many times that it's like muscle memory, and it just, you fall into it, Now, no matter what happens, you do it. Like when you I'm a dancer, so when you run a routine over and over again, you fall into the routine. Even if you forget what you're doing, your body remembers. And so we got to get accustomed to doing some of these things in our spiritual life. And then at that time, our spiritual life carries us, right? Our spiritual endeavor carries us. And Gurudev is there, and everything is there for us. But we have to focus on it, not just save it for the time of death, right? We want to be ready to roll by the time that comes. And we can't ever be ready, but if you're always ready, then you're always ready. You know what I mean? All right. And every day is a good day to be ready. So every day is a day to think about and speak about and talk about and hear about Krishna. I mean, I don't know anything about Krishna, but let's just say Guru Gauranga Gandharvika, Guru Gauranga. And our Vaishnavs. And we have a really awesome family. Quirky for show, you know, and all its things, but together, congregational chanting, that's where it's at. So let's get together in that way. So again, if you're nearby, come tomorrow for Sri Radhastami, and come as much as possible to the temple. every day we have RT 3 times a day. The worship of their lords is happening 3 times a day in this beautiful Gupta Govardhan. Please come visit. Please come take prasadam. We want to see all of your beautiful faces here. Let's all become nectarian devotees, and let's just all become nectarian devotees and inspire each other in that way. Let's be about it, talk about it, and do it. And then I see a message here, redirecting and course correcting. Dandavat Pranam, Paulina. So fortunate to hear from the children of the devotees. Yes, you should make a shirt. You know what? I think I'm going to have to make shirts. Redirecting and course correcting. I would love to hear some Hare Krishna rhymes from you. I feel like I'm being guided to tell you that you have some special power to do so, and you should do so. Dandavat. Yes, that is true. I do rap and sing in Sanskrit, and I do have songs that are coming out. So you are correct, and thank you. And it is a blessing. It's a blessing from Gurudev for sure. Feel free to private message me, and we can talk, and I can share some songs. And of course, I will be releasing these songs this year. So thank you for that last post. I love singing and rapping in Sanskrit. And Sureshri was always encouraging singing and chanting from me. So I'm not going to stop. All right, let's close with some Maha Mantra together. I know that I can't see you all, but let's do it. Let's do it together, okay? Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. I keep thinking of Suresh. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev. Jaya Guru Dev, Jaya Guru Dev, Guru Dev, Guru Dev. Jaya Jaya Guru Dev. Jai Saparikara Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Saparshad Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshad Sriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shuddha Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya Sri Nrsimhadev Ki Jai. Bhakta Prabhar Sri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadraju Ki Jai. Vrindavan Purushottam Dham Ki Jai. Sri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Sri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Sri Ganga Jamuna Ji Ki Jai. Sri Kalindi River Ki Jai. I forget what we call that officially. Srimad Bhagavatam Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Nirmala Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Shri Sadeshri Didi Tito Bhav Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. I mean, it already passed, but all glories to Shri Sureshri Didi's life and passing. All glories to Shri Lalita Saptami Ki Jai and Shri Radhastami coming up tomorrow Ki Jai. And have to do a Srimati Kalindi Didi Ki Jai for being in good health and for recovering and making it through her surgery and recovering. Go Kalindi, Kalindi Didi Ki Jai! And all of the devotees of the Soquel Seva Ashram who have this whole week taken care of Sureshwari Didi and her passing away and her cooking and her feasts and the ceremonies. All Dandavat Pranams to all those devotees. And Dandavat Pranams to Sureshwari Didi's family, all those beautiful kids, Bobby and Adi and Kenny, and I always have to say Stefan, and Bianca and Precious and Preston and just all those beautiful kids and all her beautiful family. Ki Jai. Nitai Gaud Premanande. Shri Hari Bol. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaud Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. And all of the assembled devotees online, past, present, and future. Ki Jai. Thank you all so much for watching. Forgive me for my stumbling and in and outs. And I can't wait to see you all next week. This Thursdays, I usually read from Revealed Truth. We go live at 8 p.m. Sometimes we sing, and then we read from Revealed Truth. But this Thursday, I had to reschedule a business call last week because of the surgery and the ceremony of the funeral and everything, and so I had to reschedule it for this coming week. So we've had a couple Thursdays now that I haven't been able to do this. I'd love to find someone here in Santa Cruz who's local who can do it when I'm not there. That would be amazing. I'll see if I can find someone. If I can, then they will be reading and going live, and if not, then join us the following Thursday. We'll continue with our reading of Revealed Truth in the Temple Room. And again, today I went live here again just because I was on call, ready to go in case my mom was released tonight. But we will continue with our, live streams from the Temple Room. Okay. Dandavat pranams, Banchakalpatirubhyas cha, Kripa Sindhubhya cha, Patitanam, Bhavanibhyo, Vaishnavibhyo, Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Good night, everyone, or good morning, wherever you are in the world. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.